Yeah, first, Happy New Year. And I'm very happy to present the topic about Armitage and Metasploit for penetration testing. So today we are going to cover everything from information collection and exploitation and post-exploitation. So I want to say here, all contents, most of the contents present today are from the internet. So I thank the internet for everything. And so here is the outline of today's talk. So let's first look at the cyber attack cycle here. So we all know now cyber attacks now are very serious. And as we can see here, so basically fighting cyber crimes is among FBI's top 3 priorities. And so basically we want to think like an adversary so that we can understand cyber attacks. And why do we want to understand the cyber attacks? Because you have to understand the cyber attacks so that you can actually design your defense to counter those attacks, right? And of course, when you are hired as a penetration tester, you actually also need to understand the cyber attack knowledge. And so that's why, so I think we should actually understand the cyber attack cycle, and we have a big picture. And so today, my purpose is, so I will give you a very easy tool here so that you can present it to your students and show them the big picture. Because I often find it's very hard to explain to beginners and what is going on within the hackers world and how they do everything, what is their procedure to do everything. So here I show the cyber attack cycle here. So you can see here, basically we have 3 parts here. And so the first part is the information collection. Of course, when the attacker, they attack you, they want to understand you, or maybe they just want to find random targets. So to that end, they want to actually perform information collection. And as we know, one popular way of information collection is you do port scanning. So that's just one way. Of course, you may have other ways. So you put all such information together, and basically you want to see what is going on here, right? And what are the targets available to you. So that's the first stage called the information collection. So once you got all the information, then you have the targets. Maybe you want to try all of them one by one, but whatever. So you are going to enter the second stage called exploitation. So in this stage, there are so many different ways of exploit. So I'm showing here kind of 3 examples here. And so first one is called remote exploit. So what is remote exploit? So in remote exploit, so basically the attacker attack you from the internet. They are not going to attack you actually on your own computer, of course, right? We are talking about the remote attack. And so the attacker will attack you remotely. And so that's called a remote attack. And sometimes, you know, the attacker wants to get into your computer. For example, your computer has the SQL shell SSH installed or telnet or FTP installed. So they may want to do some simple attack like this kind of a credential attack. They just try all possible credentials one by one and see which one works. You may think this will not work. Let me tell you, this is a popular way of doing the attack. So this happened even to my students quite a few times. And there's another thing similar to using credentials called a pass hash. So sometimes, I mean, the hacker, they got the password hashes, and some of the services on computers may actually accept the password hash or credential hash for authentication. So that's why we have something called a pass hash. So then we have another example here. It's called a client-side attack. So in this case, the client-side attack means, okay, so the attacker lures you to click a link. For example, they can also send you the link by email, send you the link by actually messages, and also they may send you email with attachment when you click, right? So basically, the link and also the attachment contains the malware. And then the malware actually runs on the target like a client computer. So in this case, right, so the attacker doesn't send you the malware remotely, but you actually, I mean, the user interacts with the attachment, the link, and so the malware actually runs on the target computer directly, right? So these are the exploits. Then of course, there are many ways of remote exploits. There are many ways of client-side attacks. That's why our world is so colorful, right? And so this is the stage of exploitation. But you know, here we often find when we teach our security classes, and we ignore the last part called the post-exploitation. And so basically, once the attacker gets inside your computer, what else can they do? Of course, they want to kind of profit from the exploits, from the exploitation. So that's why actually post-exploitation is very important to the hackers, to the attackers. So here I list a few things here. You can see. First thing is called escalate privileges. So sometimes the attacker may be able to just compromise a normal user which doesn't have any kind of root privilege. So in this case, then the attacker will think about other ways to escalate their privileges so that they can do more damages, right? They may explore a system and they may steal your data and just poking around and see what is happening. If they got enough actually kind of privileges, for example, root privilege, they may actually dump your hash, then they may use John the Ripper to crack those password hashes so that they get all different users, right? They can log into different systems. So the last step in post-exploitation is called a setup of puberty. So what does that mean? You know, sometimes the attacker may just be able to actually hack one computer within this network or within this enterprise or within this school, right? And they actually want to attack from inside because, you know, when the computer is inside, if it is compromised, I mean, normally the school or the enterprise and do not have actually enough defense if the attack is from inside. Most of the defense is set up at the edge of the campus, at the firewall, right? Once the attacker is inside the campus network, then actually you can do more damage. That's why, so basically they are going to use the compromised computer as stepping stone to attack other computers or networks from inside. So you can see now, once you set up a puberty, everything will just kind of going from the beginning again. So these are the three important stages of a Cyberattack cycle. Then we will see actually Armitage and Metasploit can do all three stages of activities. Okay, so here let me go through all the kind of concepts again and quickly. So as we can see here, the Cyberattack cycle here, and we have three stages. The first stage is information collection. For example, you can do port scanning, or you can actually get information from other scanners. Second, you choose exploit, right? Because you know what the services are running on those computers from this first stage. Now you can actually choose exploit, see which one is the best exploit. Then of course, at this point, you can also check maybe which one is best, if it works, then you deploy the attack. So that's the second stage. And the third stage here, so it's called a post-exploitation, right? So you perform post-exploitation to actually gain from your attack. And so here I list many kind of post-exploitation activities here. So you can see here we have escalation your privilege, log keystroke, and dump password hashes, screen capture, camera streaming, and a browser file system. And you can also actually start a shell to interact with the compromised computer and do whatever you want. Okay, then the last step is you set up a pivot. For example, you can actually install more malware on the target computer so that you will use the target computer as a stepping stone to attack from inside. Okay, so these are the three cycles. I mean, three stages of the Cyberattack cycle. So here, let's go over a few important concepts here. So remote exploit means the target is on the internet, it's in a remote network, and the attacker is not actually on the target computer, right? And the attacker wants to attack from remote and from its own computer. But most of the time, the attacker will not attack from their home. They may actually sit in Starbucks shop and sit in maybe a library, or maybe they hide behind a Tor, if you know what is an anonymous communication network, because they want actually hide themselves from being tracked, right? So that's called remote exploit. Then we also mentioned use credentials. Many people think attack is hard, but you can see here, this one example. I mean, it's not hard to attack. You can just try potential kind of credentials, right? If you have a password list, which is popular, then you can actually try all the potential passwords one by one and see which one works, right? You can see this is a very simple attack. We often mention like a buffer overflow attack, but you can see this one, it's very simple. And so you can use this one, give a demo. And so sometimes, as I mentioned, the target may accept actually credential hash. And we also have pass the hash if the target accepts credential hash, okay? And we also mentioned a client-side attack. So in this case, the user, I mean, the target is tricked to click a link, click attachment, so that the malware actually starts on the target computer directly. So you do not need to actually send the payload or the malware through the collection to the target, and the bad guy, I mean, the user is just click on the link. And actually, this is the most popular attack, okay? Other sophisticated attacks are not so popular as this kind of a client-side attack. So this is the most efficient and effective popular attack, client-side attack. Reaching email, okay, right? So now, good. So we have the concept of the cyber attack cycle. We know the three stages. Now I'm going to show you here how we use Armitage and the Metasploit together to actually perform these three stages of activities, so that students have a big picture how an attack may be performed in the wild. So first, what is Metasploit? I know many people know, we just go through everything here. And Metasploit is a penetration testing tool, AKA hacking tool. And so in this case, basically we are treating penetration testing and hacking, or ASIC hacking, right, as the same thing. And because, penetration testing is to test if a computer is vulnerable or not. So basically you are doing the same thing like a hacking. And so we want to show basically your employer that their computers are vulnerable. So you can see basically you are kind of a hacker, although you are doing that as you are asked to do, right? And so basically penetration testing, and it's similar to ASIC hack. And so Metasploit basically is available within Kali Linux. And so Metasploit can be used and the command line. But the problem is when we teach those beginners, right? And particularly, for example, I was running a Cyber summer camp for high school students. It's very hard to teach them those commands because most of them are not used to command line commands. That's why I think I want to focus on the GUI interface. One good GUI interface for Metasploit is called Armitage. So Armitage is a GUI front end for the Metasploit framework. Within Armitage, you just click, 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 and everything's done. You perform all the three stages of activities. And so basically, because it is a GUI front end for Metasploit, right? So whatever you do in Armitage will be translated into Metasploit commands, maybe other simple commands. And so what you can do in Armitage can also be done with Metasploit commands or some simple Linux commands. So basically they are kind of the same thing, but most people like GUI. That's why I think if you teach like the beginners, right, and GUI is very important. And so I have been trying to find such kind of a easy interface, and Armitage is the solution. So here is basically a Kali Linux. So Kali Linux is already installed with Metasploit framework. At this point, Kali is not allowed to be installed with Armitage. I installed Armitage myself. So you can see here, basically, so these tools can be accessed in this way. So first, I found when we use Metasploit and Armitage, you better actually work as a root, okay? Because with root, you can just try all the functionalities. I'll tell you, basically, you can use sudo to do that root. And but anyway, so here is how you start it. So this is kind of a dragon icon here, means applications. So to start Metasploit, you click here, right? This dragon icon, then you will see the list. And you can see here, number 8 here is the exploitation tools. When you click here, it will show you the list. Okay, so then you can basically click the Metasploit or Armitage to start these two applications. Excuse me. Okay, so this is how you start it. And so let me show this one again here. And once you start Armitage, then you see this interface. Of course, you may not see all the things on this screenshot here. So basically on the left top here, on the top left here, you see all the modules. Those modules are basically modules of a Metasploit. As I mentioned, Armitage is just the interface for Metasploit. So they list all the modules. What are the modules? Those modules are for information collecting. Those modules are for exploitation. These modules are actually for post-exploitations. There are many other kind of accessories over here, but those are all from Metasploit. They just list this here so that you can see them directly. Then when you do some attack, when you do some activities, then, for example, when you do the port scanning, right, then they will list actually the targets here and within this target panel here. And also when you perform many activities, then here the console will show the results of each activity you did. And you can see here, we have these services. Basically, this will show you what kind of services are available on this particular target. So this is Armitage interface. So I will show you how we can do it, very simple one. So here are some notes when you use this one. So as I said, when you actually use Armitage, you better work as a root. And the easy way to work as a root is you can start Armitage with a sudo, right, in a terminal, right? And you just do sudo Armitage, this kind of understand here, so that Armitage will work in the background, but because it has an interface, so you will see the interface. And also I found if Armitage cannot start, and most of the time, the reason is it cannot connect to the database. So to start a database, the easiest way is you just start Metasploit by clicking on the Metasploit icon here, right? Here, right? Then you actually close it, then you start Armitage again, and everything will be okay. And also another note here is so after Armitage is started, you better actually configure here Armitage set exploit rank per here. So basically it's here. So you just click here, then you set the exploit rank as per, so that you can use all exploits, whatever they are good or bad, right? So here are some terms. So within Armitage, you can do port scannings. And so the port scan can be Nmap scans. So if you know it, so Nmap is a popular tool to scan all IP addresses and see what services are available on those IP addresses, right? So Nmap is very kind of popular. And so Nmap, so that's why actually Armitage integrates Nmap scans with itself, okay? Then you also see MSF scans. So in this case, the Armitage will combine a few Metasploit scans into one feature called the MSF scans. So you can actually just find all things. For example, you can find the services, you can find maybe what kind of OS running on those IPs, and many other things. Okay. So here's the payload. The payload, because you as the ethical hacker or you as the penetration tester, you want to actually attack the target. And so when you want to attack the target, you want to send your malware to the target, right? And so that the malware somehow will run on the target. So that malware or scripts are called payload. Okay, so this is what the attacker will do. And so they will send this to the target will run the payload. So the payload is malware or some other scripts. So the exploit rank is what? The exploit rank, basically within Metasploit or within Armitage, they rank each exploit. Some of the exploit is not so reliable, means it cannot actually work because it's too old. Okay, and but in our case, because we are just giving a demo, right? We just actually use all possible attacks. That's why, as I mentioned before, we want to set our exploit rank as a poor, so that we just using any kind of exploit, even poor, good, or excellent, doesn't matter. We just try everything, okay? And this is very important because most of the attacks for demo are not new, right? And so that we should actually set the exploit rank as a poor so that we can actually try all attacks. So now let me show you how we use Armitage to perform the 3 stages of a Cyberattack cycle: scanning, exploitation, and post-exploitation. So of course, we need a target. So in this case, I'm using Metasploitable as the target. And Metasploitable particular version 2 is available as a virtual machine. And it has a lot of vulnerabilities for exercise. And here, we want to use this kind of example target because I don't want you to hack the real things. And I take no responsibility if you are captured after this talk and you want to try everything, right? And so I want to actually see that. Okay, we are ready. So here is the procedure, right? We configured everything works. So now we are going to do Armitage scanning. So you can actually choose here, the host here, there's something called host here, okay? You click over there, then you choose MSF scans, then you can enter a single IP to scan that IP. You can just enter a IP range so that you can scan the whole IP range, okay? So after that, you know, MSF scans are not as strong as Nmap. And so you may actually do more things with Nmap. For example, you can use Nmap scan to find out what kind of OS runs on that IP, okay? So then after that, you can see here, those found IP will be listed using this kind of icons within this target panel here, okay? And so it will not be like this, and like this one with lighting, I'll tell you what's that. But it will show you an icon like a computer, okay? So now you can just choose one and then you can try different attacks. Good. So now we got the list of IPs, a list of targets, and you can select one, you can select melee to perform attack at the same time. But anyway, so I'm going to show you, you can choose one to do the attack, right? So let's say you just choose one, then you choose one, then you can perform the attack. So this stage is often confusing to many people, but in Armitage, everything is much simpler. The easiest way is like this. So you actually here choose attacks, then you choose find the attacks. So just click here the menu item here, then you just click the sub menu item here, and you will find the attacks. So what this does is, because we already derived services available on this particular IP through the first stage of information collecting and port scanning. So what find attacks does is it will actually search the Metasploit export database and see which attacks, which exploits match the versions of those services. So that's what it does. You can see now you don't need to actually browse the whole database of exploits within Metasploit. And Armitage will actually do this for you. And you just need to click, then it will try to find the matching attacks. Then it will show you within a pop-up menu here and found attacks. So now you can just click the attack and perform the attack. Okay, good. So now you can see here. So basically, this will reduce a lot of kind of confusion here, right? Otherwise, how can you find all the attacks through the whole database of exploits within Metasploit? And this one does everything automatically. That's why I like it to show to beginners. So here are a few examples, right? As I mentioned, that we can do brute force attacks, right? And in this case, the attacker enumerates all possible attacks, and then they just try all the, passwords and see what's going on here, right? And so here, the potential service for brute force password guessing attack is like FTP, secure shell, HTTP, telnet, everything here. And so you can just try, right? And as I mentioned, so actually somebody in my lab used a password of ABC123 for secure shell server, and so now the computer was hacked. And this one works. So another one is social engineering. Actually, Armitage can perform phishing campaign for you. It has such actually kind of a capability. Okay, so as we know, social engineering is a process of just extracting sensitive information by tricks. For example, somebody sends you the phishing links, send you some other kind of attachments or fake websites, right? So this is some examples of attacks. So now let's look at how we use Armitage for post-exploitation. So basically, you already found all the attacks, right? You deploy the attacks, and so the attack was successful. Once the attack is successful, Armitage will show you available post actually exploitation modules. You can also search one by yourself. Okay, so just doing maybe a few enter inputs, and you can find all the post exploitation modules. Then you can perform the post exploitations. Okay, so this is the whole process, and you can see here. I give you a few examples here, and on post exploitation. So once you are in a computer, right, and as a penetration tester, you want to actually, for example, collect password hashes, then you will show to the employer, see, I can get into your computer, then this is all the hashes I got, then I can crack them, okay? And so you may want to think about when you want to collect those hashes, or you want to do other like maybe camera streaming, right? You want to do other attacks. So you need to actually send a malware over there to the target so that you can interact with the malware on the compromised computer to do all the post-exploitation activities easily. So you need such kind of a malware installed on the target, right? That's why, so we should use a Meterpreter. Meterpreter is a Metasploit attack payload. When you are able to send this Meterpreter kind of a payload to the target, this one implements a variety of kind of exploits and also the bad behaviors and bad things. So you can use a Meterpreter do a lot of damages. So I will show you here. For example, so within Meterpreter, right? So basically, you send the payload. Now the Meterpreter is running. Then you can use a hash dump within Meterpreter and to dump all the hashes. Then you can use John the Ripper to crack all the password hashes. And another post exploitation example is how you maintain access. So once you get into the target computer, you already compromise the target computer, right? And so you want to maintain access, right? And you will show to the employer, see, okay, later after a few days, I'm still actually can find what you are doing over there. I can still do damages. That shows, okay, they need to pay you more money, right? Because you are very good as a penetration tester. Of course, the attacker wants to do the same thing. They want to maintain access so that even the computer restarts, then you can still actually access the compromised computer. That's why here, the best way is to install a backdoor. So the Metasploit can use a Meterpreter payload to install persistent backdoor so that even the system restarts, you can still maintain the access to the target computer. So here are a list of Meterpreter commands. So once you use this payload and it runs, you can see here, you can do webcam list, you can do webcam snap, you can do webcam stream, you can do screenshot, you can record a microphone, you can actually do keystroke logging, you can start a shell, you can install a backdoor so that it will last forever. Of course, maybe not. Okay, and so this one is very powerful, and so you can interact with the Meterpreter kind of a payload and to do all the tricks. So this is fun if you show to the students. So this one is about the screen capture. So when you start the Meterpreter, right? So you can actually enter those commands here. So you can actually get the screen capture, okay? The screen, right? It will be saved to some folder on your local computer. That's very good. And the Metasploit can also actually do the other things like generating reports, but you have to use the professional version, and it takes like more than $10,000 to get the professional version. But anyway, and so it has such capabilities. Armitage also has that, but you have to use the professional version. So now let me show you a demo here, and we still have minutes. We were late, and so I think we still have some time here. And so here, this demo set up like this. And so we have the Kali VM, right? And we have this Metasploit 2 VM. They are running on VirtualBox. And so I made sure Kali VM can ping the Metasploit 2 VM. So they are working with each other. Good. And so we are going to attack this Metasploit 2 using the Kali VM. So here is the video. I'm going to speed up. Maybe not. It's just 10 minutes. So here is my screen, right? And so we start a VirtualBox. Okay. And you can see I'm starting Kali VM. Then I'm starting Metasploit 2. I found you must have a nice laptop. If your laptop has only one CPU core, and when you try to run multiple VMs, it is a disaster. So you want a decent laptop to do this when you want to actually give demo to students. And actually, I don't know how to speed up this process. It's a new computer here, but it's okay. I think we were late, so we still have a few minutes.
Yeah, you can go ahead and you can take us some extra time since we started a little bit late, Dr. Fu.
Okay. Yeah, well, here is only 10 minutes, so we should be okay. And so now you can see this is Metasploit 2 starting, and this is a Kali VM starting. I started them at the same time. Maybe that was a bad idea because now kind of slow down. So if you guys want the Kali VM and I configure this allowed, I can actually send me, you can send me email. I'm going to share you this Kali VM. And so we actually configured this Kali VM allowed. I also have Windows 10 VM, and for a lot of purpose, for example, showing the camera trick. And but that one requires a lot of kind of thing. Okay. So here, good. So now our Kali VM started. So I want to start the terminal here. So this is the terminal. And then because we want to start Armitage, right? We want to start Armitage as a root. So I'm going to do the sudo Armitage and assign so that it will start in the background, but because it has a GUI interface, we will see it. Okay, so you can see this in Java. so that's why it's not so fast. So this Armitage uses basically Metasploit. So it needs to collect to the database used by Metasploit. So here we are trying to collect to the database and also Metasploit. And then let's see what will happen. If you see collection refused, doesn't matter. So basically now we are in a process. Now you can see it cannot collect the database. This often happens. It's okay. And as I mentioned, if you find this, you just need to start Metasploit. Okay, so because I just want to do clicking, right? And everybody can do this. So we start Metasploit. Then we exit. So basically in this way, we start the database. So now if we start Armitage with a sudo again, then everything will be normal. Okay, good. And then you can see this interface. We don't have anything here yet because we didn't do port scanning yet, right? So now we do port scanning. We click here. Oh, before we do that, I want to make sure actually the Caddy VM and Metasploit 2 VM, they can ping each other. So you can see here, this is a Caddy VM's IP 10.0.2.14. This is should be 10.0.2.16. Okay, so they can ping, and now we ping from Caddy. Good. Of course, during your demo, you don't need to do this. And I just want to make sure everything's okay. And now we can do host scanning. Okay, so basically we try to find all available services. Before we do that, you can see I'm set the exploit rank as poor because I want to try all attacks. Now we do MSF scans. And in this case, I just scan one IP, which is a Metasploit 2's IP. So 10.0.2.16. Okay. Good. So now it will scan. One icon will show up here. You can see it finds so many services running on Metasploit 2. I also want to use a map scan to find out the OS of this IP. And of course, you don't need to do that, but for fun, let's just do that. So it will show up, this is a Linux. Okay, so it's done with the scanning. You can see now it's Linux. Good. And now you can see this is all the services we found. You just right click and choose services. It will show you all the services. You can see we have so many services running on Metasploit 2 VM with this IP 10.0.2.16. And then you can see here, it shows many other things here. And so what we are going to do now, we are going to find the attacks. As we mentioned, we found other services. We want to find matching exploits against those services. So you just need to click over there, then you will find all possible potential, right? Those may not work, but they are potential exploits. Okay, so now we are done. You can see, you will now see an attack manual attached to each host, but we have only one, so you can see this attack. So I'm going to show you a particular one because this one will give us a nicer result here. So this is a kind of a IRC, right? It's a communication kind of a tool. And so this one basically was installed with a backdoor. Somebody actually put a backdoor here for people to download. So we are going to, you can see here, I just pop up that menu, click, and I choose a reverse collection, means I want to use Meterpreter reverse TCP collection so that I can get into this computer. So now you can see if this one can start a shell, this one is compromised. A lighting kind of image will show up here, means it is compromised. You can use commands, right? Because I started a shell, and you can use command to do whatever you want. So now the exploit is done. I wanted to actually now do the post exploitation. So I'm going to just show you the hashdump. So here I'm going to search hashdump within the post exploitation. I'm going to choose the next one. So I double click, maybe just single click, I can't remember. We started one shell, so that's called a session. Okay, so session 1, we start launch. Good, then you will see all the hashes from this compromised Metasploit 2. And you just copy those hashes into a file. Okay, so I'm doing copy here. Okay, then you start an editor. In this case, I'm using actually the Kelly VM's text editor. So you just copy everything over there. And you remove the actual kind of symbol over there, right? Those are edited by actually Armitage. And the hash is already in the required format of John the Ripper. So you just need to remove those symbols over there. Now you save it. So I'm going to call this hashdump CAE. And we save it. Okay, so now you can use John the Ripper to crack it. Okay, so I'm going to show you the file. It's over there. You can see the file is over there. Because I already did this demo a few times, so next I'm going to actually paste a command to actually remove the previous results. After that, you just run this simple command, John hashdump CAE. It will crack all the hashes. You can see, right, user has a user password as password user, and this one, Claude Sys has a password Batman. So basically, this is the whole process. You can see you don't need to actually redo a lot of things. And so this is a step if you want to try yourself. And here is basically the description of the vulnerability. You can see here. So this module exploits a malicious backdoor that was added to the Unreal RCD download archive. Somebody did this, okay? And that's why basically it is a backdoor. We collect the backdoor, we send the payload so that our payload will run within a backdoor. Okay, so that's what happens. So that's why we send the Meterpreter payload, and the Meterpreter payload will run over there. That's why we can use hashdump and other commands. And so to summarize today's talk, so you can see here. So I think finally I found an intuitive kind of a live demo for beginners. So we just do a few clicks, and everybody can do this. And so also Armitage and Metasploit can be installed on Kali. So Metasploit is already on Kali. Armitage basically can be installed by yourself. And so here are some references. And the number 5 references is fun. And it shows you camera stream, other things. It's actually quite simple when you do this. And so thank you. And so now this is the end of my talk. And any question and answers?
This was great, Dr. Fu. Thank you so much. And it looks like you do have a couple questions coming in from Dr. Losavio. Dr. Xinwen, does the ease of these tools potentially expand the number of new cyber criminals we might face?
So what I found out is like this. your actually concern is real, but here is the deal. Most of the exploits found on community Metasploit are old. So basically, Microsoft and most of the Linux distributors and the Mac, they already checking the Metasploit database regularly, and they have patches over there. So if you want to buy those professional versions, right, of a Metasploit, you have to spend a lot of money. But you know, any tool is double-edged weapon. If we even don't teach this, right, the attacker will learn this. So we better teach this so we know how to defend against them, so that our students understand the whole process, right? Otherwise, I found it's very hard to tell them what an attack is and what is the whole process. So with this tool, we are using old one. I recommend we don't use like a real, like a live new, I mean, zero-day attack, right? And we don't do that, and I think it's fine. But alien tool is double-edged weapon. Metasploit has been over there like 20 years, I think, at least 20 years. And so we better learn because everybody's learned, including all the attackers. Yeah, so that's my answer to that question.
If you have any other questions, please feel free to unmute yourself, or you can also type your questions into the chat. So Dr. Fu, we'll give it a couple seconds, like a minute to see if you have any questions to come through, but this has been very informative and great. Thank you.
Thank you. Glad I'm on time.
By the way, Dr. Xinwen, do you use the Proxmox environment to sort of build virtual machines for your teaching by any chance?
No, we actually use something called, we have our own cyber range. And so we are using something called, we are using Xen servers. And so we basically bought a server, then we actually using the Xen servers, and we also using, what is that, OXA, what was the name of that? I forgot. What is the one to manage the Xen servers? I cannot remember, I forgot. So we actually have our own environment to install all the virtual machines. So all the things I showed today can be performed on our cyber range and a virtual cyber range. And so everything actually was great. And so everything can be done within the cyber range. What is the name of that? I cannot remember. I forgot the name.
Let me press my luck for one last time. Could you see any of these tools being able to be translated down into teaching or instruction for typical civilians or for people in middle school, things like that?
Yes, actually, why did I do this? And this slide. So I was actually doing Gene Cyber. So in the Gene Cyber, I was trying to find out how I can explain to high school students easily. Mm-hmm. And so the final observation is, if you ask them to enter commands, right, the command line commands is so hard because most of them never touched those command line commands. And so basically this is my solution. And I didn't actually teach this to high school students last time, but I'm going to do this summer. And so I already did this for my current class. And So everything was fine. Everybody can actually follow the procedure, because it's only a few clicks, right? A few commands. Everybody at least can run the demo I just showed. So I think this will not be problem, because in my class, some of the students were not computer science students, and they really had poor knowledge about the computers. And so I'm going to use this for high school students, and I think they will like it. And so because just a few clicks, and so if you give all the commands, right, give all the steps, I think that they can follow it.
Right. Okay, and this, well, it does put you on the spot, but I want to answer later. Would you be able to share your curriculum with us if we were able to try and do this in our schools, in our communities?
You mean the Gene Cyber one or what? Which one?
Yeah, well, Gene Cyber, yes, Gene Cyber. Okay.
Yes, and maybe after this summer, because the last summer, I think we did too much on programming. so I think this one, this time, you can send me email. And I think at last, we have to share everything through a website. I think from, what is that website? From, I think from NSA website.
Right,
And
there's a cyber site that you can go to that houses examples of different syllabi and lessons that you can share amongst the different, PIs in the, with the different schools who are running the Gen Cyber programs. But if you want to get maybe Dr. Fu, if you wanted to post your email in the chat, or send it directly to Dr. Losavio, that might help as well.
Okay, sure. And you can search internet. It's easy to find me on the internet. So okay. I taught a really different concepts here. I think these two, so I'm going to use this one forever, and because this one is easy to use. And actually, I want to, we were going to add our own module to Metasploit, so that we can show all the other tricks easily. And but we have to do this. I think maybe this coming semester, I'm going to use integrate our module so that everybody can use it, and so that it will be available within Armitage. But I think Armitage, the good interface is much easier for high school students and for those beginners, because you just need to do clicks. And I found that it's very confusing if you ask students to use the Metasploit commands, and because they have to understand everything, right? They cannot understand the meaning between different commands. So, so it's very hard to teach them a high level. But you can see here, when we do clicks, we focus on the concepts, not on the concrete commands. At least by doing that, they understand the concepts. That's what they want for the beginners, right? Sometimes they don't need to understand the details, but we just want to motivate them to study cybersecurity. So that's what I think for those beginners, Armitage and Metasploit together is a very good tool. And Metasploit itself is not so easy for beginners. I found it very confusing. At least I remember like 20 years ago when I was learning Metasploit, it was so confusing. I don't know what a command is for which one, for what purpose, right? And so I don't have the big kind of picture of what is going on over there. So I think it is good to teach beginners.
Lauren.